Katera Rising by J.D Evergreen. Chapter 18. Skeletons, Secrets, and the Sleeping Curse. They are holding one another, their meagre belongings are scattered around them, and a pool of dried blood coats the floor underneath them. I notice a tattered basket near my foot. I carefully open it. The lid pulls away from the rest of the container, even with my attempts at being gentle. Inside is a leather pouch, better preserved than the basket, a rolled hide and 2 metal water canteens. I pull everything from the basket and lay it on the floor. Melissa bends over the skeletons and inspects them.
Neither of them have weapons. Their injuries must have been caused by something else.
She pauses and points to the leg of the one closest to her.
Those are tooth marks. If I had to guess, I would say these unfortunate people encountered the same beasts we did.
Tash wipes her face.
What a sad place to die, alone.
My eyes drift over their huddled embrace, their final act of love. Even here, even like this, they must have known they wouldn't make it. Did they hold on to hope even at the end? Did they whisper to each other, promising it would be okay? I swallow the lump in my throat. They weren't alone, I murmur. They had each other. Lexa crouches down beside me, her knee brushing mine.
What have you found?
She selects the rolled hide and gently opens it. Hastily scribbled words were rushed across the surface. I swallow. Is that written in blood? Lexa's voice is quiet, but the words feel too loud in the silence.
Darkmor's magic is flawed. We saw it. He can be stopped, but he saw us too.
A chill snakes down my spine. What does that mean? I whisper. Lexa pockets the note.
Your guess is as good as mine.
I open the pouch and find some tarnished silver coins and 2 golden rings with the word forever engraved along the inside. Within the furthest corner of the pouch, I find a small square of leather with a scary face drawn onto it. I study the image. The mouth is lopsided and filled with jagged teeth, and the eyes, one slightly larger than the other. It is unnerving looking at the image. Uncomfortable, I stuff the picture back into the pouch and turn to the other items on the floor in front of me. Nathaniel stoops to collect one of the tarnished silver coins.
This is the currency of Solaris. See the phoenix on the back. How do you know what currency from Solaris looks like?
Lucas pries. Nathaniel tenses.
My father used to collect coins like this.
The tension visibly affects the room as it enters an awkward silence. I am dying to ask about Nathaniel's dad, but every time it is brought up, everyone becomes nervous. It is probably best to leave it for now. I am sure the answers will come out soon enough. I hold up the rings from the bag. I think they were mated? Lexa takes the rings from my hand and inspects them.
How were they allowed to keep these?
Lucas sniffles.
They kept it a secret?
Melissa shakes her head.
These bones are almost 2 decades old, judging from the bleaching. The coins only help to confirm my suspicions. I think these people were captured in one of the first waves, but they escaped Darkmor only to die here.
Tash nods.
I don't see any other way they could have been allowed to keep mating rings.
I hold the 2 small rings in my hand and slowly return them to the pouch. I tie it and the coins securely to my belt. I look at the bones. At least they were together in the end. We crawl out of the small space and Nathaniel goes to clean and fill our newfound water containers. Lucas shifts his feet awkwardly.
The way ahead of us is blocked. There is a gap, but it is too narrow to crawl through. I was looking into it when Tash called us over.
Lexa sighs.
All right, everyone, have a drink before we go. We will head down the 3rd tunnel. We will see where it leads us. We may have to swim.
My stomach clenches. I cannot swim. My cheeks flush as I encounter yet another thing I cannot do. Thanking the darkness in the cave, I keep the information to myself. I will share it if it becomes necessary. We head back down the cave and weariness pulls at my limbs, insistent that I pay attention to it. The problem is that even if we do stop, I am not sure I will be able to rest in this strange and hazardous world. At least in the arena, I knew what wanted to kill me. Also before today, I have never been attacked by a plant. We squeeze past the narrow corner and once again face the 3 tunnels. Only the middle remains, the stream steadily flowing down through it. We head down the glowing tunnel and walk in silence for a while. Lucas scuffs his feet in front of me.
My feet hurt.
He complains, distracting me from my thoughts of what is ahead of us.
Also, my throat.
He adds,
That's probably from all the running and screaming we have done today.
Tash replies, her blue eyes bright with the reflected light from the stream. Melissa chuckles.
I am sure there was more screaming than running coming from Lucas. Very manly screaming.
Lucas adds in his deepest voice. A smile spreads across my cheeks. Even Nathaniel lets out a short bark of laughter. The silence returns, and my stomach makes its demands known to the world. A loud rumble echoes across the tunnel walls, and my cheeks burn red.
We need to find something to eat,
Tash declares, as she sloshes along through the shallow, glowing water.
Yeah, before Claire starts deciding which one of us would be the easiest to take down and have for dinner.
Melissa suggests with a sly smile.
It's Lucas, by the way. Hey.
Lucas squeals in protest, holding his hands up.
You don't want to eat me. I'm all lanky and tough. Not good to eat at all. You're right.
Nathaniel agrees.
She would probably eat you and be hungry again in half an hour anyway.
Tash and Melissa roar in laughter, while Lucas and I scowl at them. Lexa chuckles and gently runs her hand down my arm, sending a wave of tingles across my body. I am sure we will find something to eat soon. Lexa reassures me and gives me one of her half smiles. If not, I will help you catch Lucas. Laughter erupts from my throat. Lucas runs his hands through his hair and grumbles.
I can't trust anyone.
Our shallow water wading rises steadily from our ankles to our knees as we trudge through the cave tunnel. Ahead of us, the tunnel widens suddenly and rocks peek out from under the water, breaking through the calm surface. Thick green moss clings to these rocks, creating a blanket of green amongst the glowing ice blue of the liquid around them. Dotting the moss are tiny purple flowers that open to reveal red pollen, casting a rich, sweet scent into the cave around us. Small insects buzz around these little purple flowers before shooting off to climb into a hive of some kind in the upper corner of the cavern roof. On the moss, in clumps, hangs clusters of small pink balls. My stomach rumbles again. Maybe they are edible? My eyes are drawn to columns of glowing stalactites and stalagmites that grow haphazardly amongst the rocks, adding to the strange beauty of the pool. The glowing water gently moves and ripples its way through the bizarre landscape, causing light to dance across the ceiling in hypnotizing patterns. The whole scene is astonishingly beautiful. I cast a glance at Lexa, who is taking in the scene before us in much the same way. Lexa walks ahead of me and stoops to inspect a bunch of pink fruits. If I say this place is beautiful, are you guys going to ruin it somehow? I ask, taking in the view.
I won't.
Lucas quietly replies as he stares at the cavern around us.
Give it some time, and I am sure a horrible monster of some sort will...
Melissa comments, narrowing her eyes at the view in front of us with extreme suspicion. Tash nudges Melissa's shoulder with her own.
Mel, why do you always have to be so negative?
Melissa shrugs.
I don't know. It probably has something to do with everything that has been trying to kill me over the last 24 hours.
Tash chuckles.
Okay, point taken.
With that, she struts bravely through the water towards the closest flower. Her bravery doesn't last long, and she begins to slow until she is an arm's length from the nearest flower. Slowly, tentatively, she reaches towards it. I watch in amusement as Tash inches her hand closer to the tiny flower like she expects it to bite her. Given the experiences of the past few days, I really can't blame Tash for her newfound fear of vegetation. Even so, watching a grown woman approach a flower no bigger than a thumb now, much in the same way that someone in the arena would approach a wild and unpredictable beast, is funny. Tash touches the flower with the tip of her finger and smiles victoriously when the flower doesn't maul her to death. Carefully, she perches on a moss-covered rock and regards the cavern around her in awe. I look around the room, glowing water swirling around my knees. It seems like the safest place we have stopped for a long while, I say.
Not to mention the jugglers are afraid of the water, and they would have to swim to get to us in here.
Lucas adds, pushing his hair out of his face.
And the stream on the way in is too shallow and long for the fish or eels to get in here either,
Adds Melissa.
Let's stay here for a while. It's a nice place to sit and rest.
Tash says to the group and smiles over at Nathaniel, patting the moss-covered rock next to her. The massive warrior saunters past me and over to Tash, where he drops onto the small rock, apparently quite content, even if it is on a moss-covered rock surrounded by tiny purple flowers in the middle of a glowing pool of water.
Very manly,
Lucas mutters to Melissa. They both snicker before they wander off to inspect the stalagmites closest to them. Quick reminder, if you're enjoying the adventure, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for new chapters every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It really helps the channel grow, and hey, who doesn't love more sapphic dark fantasy in their life? Alright, back to the chaos. I glance at Lexa as she carefully plucks a pink fruit from the moss and inspects it. The green line on her arm still stands out vividly. It is taking much longer to heal than it did the last time. I glance at my own arm. Most of the lines have faded and just a handful of small sore blue cuts remain. I fiddle with the gem in the hidden pocket of my pants. Even if we manage to find the others, how are we supposed to use them against Darkmor? If this is the consequence of using the magic against nature, what would it be like against someone experienced in sorcery? I shake my head and dismiss the thought. It doesn't change the fact that we have to try. Carefully, I move towards one of the larger rocks and climb up onto it, glad to finally have my legs and feet out of the water, even if they do glow brilliantly. I lean on my elbows and stare at the shimmering roof. Who knew Darkmor's underworld dominion could have beautiful places like this? Lexa calls out to the group.
Lucas, I believe these are Elmares. What do you think?
I sit up and watch the interaction. Lucas sloshes over to Lexa in a hurry and inspects the small berry in her hand.
Yay,
He declares.
Claire doesn't have to eat me.
Lexa gives him a smile.
I take it that you agree with my assessment then?
Lucas nods enthusiastically and to prove his point takes the fruit from Lexa's hand and pops it in his mouth.
Yum.
He mumbles.
Nice and sweet.
The group spreads out and picks from the abundant bunches of berries. I move to get up, but Lexa climbs up on the rock next to me and holds out a cluster of the small pink fruits for us to share. I flash her a smile. Thanks. I take a small berry and place it in my mouth. The skin is crunchy, and the whole fruit seems to burst over my tongue when I bite down on it. A fantastic array of sensations follow. It is juicy and sweet, ending in a tangy afterflavor. I have never tasted fresh fruit before. It is so much better than the dried fruit I occasionally received in the compound. Eagerly, I pop 3 more in my mouth. Lexa chuckles and crosses her legs as she settles down across from me.
Eat it slowly. There is plenty here. I don't need you choking,
she says, watching me with a smile.
This is also the first time you have had this fruit, so you should limit your intake until you are sure how your body will respond.
I smile and slow myself down. I stare up at the shimmering and watch as the light of the water dances across the walls and roof. It's beautiful, I say.
The way the light moves is pleasing to the eye,
Lexa confirms. My lips quirk into a smile. Lexa has this way of talking that is different from anyone I have ever encountered. I lay back with my hands behind my head and watch a glowing white lizard dart onto the moss-covered rock and work on prying one of the small fruits from the bunch hanging nearby. The moss is so soft against my back that I doze lightly, the sounds of the quiet little cave and the warmth of Lexa beside me, helping me to drift into a relaxed sleep. I awake to find green eyes gazing at me thoughtfully as Lexa twirls a small purple flower in between her fingers. Our eyes meet, and Lexa's cheeks gain a shade of pink to her olive complexion. I take a moment to admire the slight tinge of red across her cheeks before I admit to being awake enough to sit up. I stretch my arms. How long have I been asleep for? Lexa shrugs.
A few hours. Most people dozed. I kept watch. All is well.
My eyebrows pull together as I study the weariness in Lex's features. She really should have been the one to sleep. Her small green lines have healed, and only the long green one on her forearm remains. It is obvious the healing is using up the little energy she had left, since using the magic necklaces back in the glowing land of mushrooms. Lexa, I say, how are you feeling? The older woman looks at me.
I am well. I can keep going for another few hours at least. Being the leader of a rebel camp certainly brings one's endurance to its peak. There was not much time for resting then, either.
I reach out to touch her hand gently. There is no need to push yourself so hard here. There are 5 others who can share the responsibility. Lexa gives me a small smile.
Perhaps next time. Now we must continue. We have stopped for too long as it is.
I have to agree with her there. Let's collect some of this fruit first, I say. It probably won't keep for long, but it would be nice to have some food with us. Lexa nods and with a sigh climbs off our moss rock and back into the glowing water. I climb down with a loud splash which stirs Tash, who is asleep, using Nathaniel's leg as a pillow. A small pile of unfinished fruits lay beside them. I raise my eyebrow at the 2 of them. It will be interesting to see how that turns out. I grab a bundle of fruit and pack it into the small pouch that contains the coins and rings. The pink berries fill the whole space, and I tie the bulging bag to my belt once more. Lucas is splayed across a rock nearby, snoring loudly. His hands and feet dangle off the edge to dip into the ice-blue water. His mouth is stained with pink from the fruit he had eaten. Lexa is waking Melissa, who had fallen asleep against a rock of her own, fruit still held protectively in her hand. It is weird we all fell asleep. Surely Melissa and Lucas had enough sleep before the dog's attack. Certainly, a lot has happened since then, but they should be more awake than the rest of us. My eyes fall on the cluster of pink fruits nearby and spy the small white lizard sleeping peacefully, a half-eaten fruit beside it. I eye the pink fruit with suspicion. I turn back to look at my sleeping companions. We had all eaten the fruit. Lexa shakes Melissa vigorously, but the dark-haired woman remains peacefully asleep. Concern rises in my stomach as I splash towards Lucas and attempt to wake him. He remains unresponsive and snores loudly at my attempts to wake him. Well, at least he isn't dead. I move away from him and over to the nearest cluster of fruits growing from one of the moss-covered columns. They look innocent enough. I look over at Lexa. Is it the fruit? Lexa turns to me and rubs her hand across her face.
It could be, but Elmaras do not have this side effect.
What if they are not Elmaras? Hey everyone, thanks for joining us for Chapter 18, Skeletons, Secrets, and the Sleeping Curse. What a wild ride through dark magic, lost treasures, and eerie cave encounters. If you enjoyed diving into the mysteries of that underground world, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss a single twist in our story. Remember, we drop new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so mark your calendars and stay tuned for more secrets unraveling right before your eyes. Before you go, we want to hear from you. What do you think about the chilling note written in blood? And how do you feel about those mysterious mated rings and that strange, possibly dangerous fruit? Drop your theories in the comments below because we love reading your thoughts and debating the possibilities. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your curiosity burning. See you in the next video.